This is the Midnight Pantry. Stories and recipes to guide you to sleep. Welcome, once again, to the Midnight Pantry. That quiet place beyond the clatter and hum of the day, where the oven glows like a hearth, and stories simmer in the stillness. Here, in the gentle folds of evening, we gather not to cook but to imagine, to remember, to rest. Each night we take a single dish, familiar, comforting, and wander with it through memory and meaning. We follow the scent of it across time, across tables, until even the mind begins to soften. Tonight, we are carving into one of the oldest and most enduring comforts of all, roast chicken. There is something ceremonial about roast chicken. Even the act of saying it, roast chicken, feels soothing. It's a phrase that lands like a soft blanket. Across the globe, this bird finds its way into kitchens and feasts, each culture layering it with their own spices, their own rituals. In France, it's crisp-skinned poulet rôti, served with pan juices and potatoes roasted underneath, catching every last drop of flavor. In China, it may arrive lacquered with soy, sesame oil, and Shaoxing wine, or served cold, silky and bare, with a dipping sauce of ginger and scallion. In Morocco, it's stuffed with couscous and preserved lemon, spiced with saffron and cinnamon. In Peru, the famous pollo a la brasa turns slowly over charcoal, spiced and smoky, until the skin is paper-thin and crisp like parchment. In nearly every corner of the world, there is a version. But the feeling is always the same. A sigh, a pause, a return. Roast chicken is a dish every great cook has touched, each one leaving behind a recipe not just of technique, but of tone. Julia Child, in mastering the art of French cooking, taught us that turning the chicken every 15 minutes wasn't tedious. It was a kind of flirtation with the oven. Her instructions read like notes from a culinary ballet: butter, baste, turn, repeat. Gordon Ramsay, more brusque but no less precise, loves to fill the bird with lemons, garlic and herbs, then douse it in melted butter as it roasts, the skin blistering into something golden and indecent. Tom Kerridge slow roasts his bird above potatoes, the chicken fat raining down onto crisping slices below, a sort of edible waterfall. Nigella Lawson, in Cook, Eat, Repeat, calls her chicken a sauce of balm. She lets it lounge in wine and herbs, often placing it on a bed of vegetables so they stew quietly underneath, catching every ounce of flavor. But perhaps the most whispered about roast chicken is Ina Garten's. From the Barefoot Contessa cookbook comes her engagement chicken. So called because allegedly more than a few proposals have followed its scent from the oven. It's simple, citrus-scented, and soulfully good. So let's begin there with Ina Garten's lemon and garlic roast chicken. Before we preheat anything, let's talk about what this recipe calls for. Not just in ingredients, but in intention. This dish wants a whole chicken, a small one, about 3 or 4 pounds, ideally organic. The skin slightly yellowed from real feed and good living. It calls for lemons, not too sharp, halved and warmed gently in your hands. A head of garlic, plump and unpeeled, sliced clean through like a wheel of brie. A handful of fresh thyme, if possible still on the stem. Butter, cold but generous, to be tucked beneath the skin and smeared across the top like a salve. And then salt, freshly cracked pepper, and a little kitchen quiet. You begin with the bird, wash and dry it, then place it in a roasting pan. Inside the cavity, you slide the lemons and garlic, stuffing them in as though tucking in a love letter. Then a fistful of thyme, aromatic and unruly. Rub butter over the skin, slowly, indulgently, like you're moisturizing a memory. Then sprinkle salt and pepper over every exposed inch. Into a hot oven it goes. 220 degrees Celsius or 425 degrees Fahrenheit. Let it blast with heat for 20 minutes, searing the skin into crispness. Then lower the heat to 190 degrees Celsius and roast for another 45 minutes or so. About halfway through, you open the oven just enough to spoon buttery juices over the top, a kind of affection. When the chicken is done, when the legs jiggle, the skin blisters and the juices run clear, you let it rest, 10 minutes at least. The steam escaping is like a sigh. It means the hard work is over. No chef has spoken more effusively about the pleasures of roast chicken than Nigella Lawson. Nigella's chickens are never rushed. They laze in the oven, fragrant and easy, giving off warmth like candle wax. This recipe for slow roast chicken with vegetables and white wine from her book Cook, Eat, Repeat is not about perfection. It's about generosity. It's about nourishment. You begin with a larger chicken, about 5 pounds, and surround it with the things that want to get to know it. Wedges of onion and shallot, chunks of carrot, half moons of parsnip, a whole bulb of garlic, broken into cloves but left unpeeled. There may be a quartered apple, a drizzle of olive oil, and the soft splash of white wine, a glass for the pan, and perhaps one for the cook. Fresh herbs, tarragon or thyme, are scattered like confetti. The chicken is rubbed with oil, then placed in the center of a baking tray like a queen. The vegetables are tucked around it, cozy and hopeful. Wine is poured in, not too much, just enough to make everything glisten. Then the whole tray slides into a low oven, about 160 degrees Celsius. And there it stays, for hours, at least 2. You check it once in a while, basting it lazily, not because you must, but because it feels like care. When it emerges, the chicken is golden but not sharp, its skin tender and yielding. The vegetables are stained with stock and perfume. The tray looks like autumn itself. This is not food for a party. It's food for peace. Now let's travel eastward. There are few places in the world that evoke the feeling of exoticism than Morocco does. The spices, the souks, the colors, the smells. This recipe for Moroccan roast chicken with preserved lemon and olives is bound to transport you to another world entirely. Some recipes feel like stories. Not short ones, but long, winding narratives filled with saffron-colored light and quiet moments of discovery. Moroccan roast chicken is that kind of recipe. A dish where each layer of spice feels like a sentence, and every olive, every sliver of preserved lemon is a pause, a breath between thoughts. This is not the quick weeknight chicken. It is slow, fragrant, ceremonial, cooked not just for nourishment, but for memory. It's inspired by the kitchens of Fez and Marrakesh, and passed through the pages of writers like Claudia Roden and Paula Wolfert, who captured the sensual quiet of North African cooking with reverence. This dish calls for a whole chicken, its skin gently loosened to make room for what comes next. You'll need a spoonful of ground cumin, a teaspoon of ground ginger, a whisper of turmeric, and just the barest breath of cinnamon. Enough to round the edges, not sharpen them. A small bunch of coriander chopped fine, a squeeze of lemon juice, fresh and puckering, and a drizzle of olive oil, green, rich, and fragrant. 2 preserved lemons, the kind that have softened in salt and thyme. Cut into slivers, their bitterness mellowed into perfume. And a handful of green olives, briny, firm, and eager to soften in the oven's warmth. First, you make a paste. Mix the cumin, ginger, turmeric, cinnamon, chopped coriander, lemon juice, and olive oil together in a bowl. It should be the color of saffron and the texture of soft sand. Rub it all over the chicken, under the skin, over the skin, into the cavity. Let it sink in. Let it stain your fingers golden. Tuck the preserved lemon slices into the cavity, along with a clove or 2 of garlic, smashed but not peeled. Let it sit, if you can, for an hour or more, covered and quiet. Preheat your oven to a gentle 170 degrees Celsius, about 340 degrees Fahrenheit. Place the chicken in a heavy dish. Scatter olives and more lemon slices around it. Add a splash of water to the base, just enough to prevent sticking. Cover with foil and roast gently for 90 minutes. The aromas will drift. They will creep into your fabric, into the corners of the house you forgot you loved. In the last 20 minutes, remove the foil. Let the skin bronze. Let the lemons caramelize. Spoon the juices over the bird until everything glistens. Serve not with ceremony, but with quiet. Perhaps alongside couscous steamed with a curl of butter, or warm flatbreads to soak up the sauce. It is a dish that feels like dusk, deep, earthy, with just a trace of light lingering at the edges. Roast chicken is a kind of prayer, a ritual of scent, texture, and time. A dish that doesn't just fill the stomach, it fills the room. It fills the heart. Whether stuffed with lemon and garlic, or sprawled over sweet root vegetables, it tells the same story, in every language. Welcome home. So tonight, as your breath slows, and your thoughts drift like steam from a roasting pan, let that story linger. You don't have to cook. You only have to rest. Thank you for joining me. Sleep well.